Baja. That's Lower California. It's a primitive country where time has almost stood still. This peninsula of Mexico has resisted conquerors, missionaries, and speculators, soldiers and privateers, with few exceptions, for more than 4 centuries. Baja is a land of contrast with barren mountain ranges, sun-drenched deserts, isolated tropical fishing villages, and imposing resort hotels. Peaceful and serene, with all the charm of Manana Land, Baja may be your Shangri-La. This is Jack Roberts, one of the ever-growing number of business pilots in the country. He hasn't taken a real vacation in years. Jack and his wife, Louise, plan a trip. Destination, the forgotten peninsula of Baja. This rough and rugged corner of the world has been well publicized by the Chevrolet Motor Company as a proving ground for modern trucks. Roads in Baja are more mirage than cement, more dogged perseverance than orderly mileposts. Since the Roberts plane has ample room for 4 people, it's time to introduce nephew Bob Roberts and his wife Lee, also overdue for a week away from the office. First, it's a check of the barometer, but Baja weather makes it a year-round flight destination. Then, a look at the map, and the best map of all Baja for either driver or pilot is prepared by an automobile club for venturesome motorists with 4-wheel drive equipment. The Roberts leave from home in Long Beach, California. But with the get-up and go of today's modern aircraft, this is an easy trip from anywhere. The Roberts fly an economy model, 160-horsepower Piper Cherokee that cruises 2¼ miles per minute for 5½ hours without refueling. And it's off to Baja. In just over 50 minutes, the Roberts are on the ground at Tijuana's International Airport. Most Mexican towns have religious names. In contrast, the bustling town of Tijuana is translated Aunt Jane, and Jane must have been quite a gal. There's a token landing fee, 64 cents for the Cherokee. Bob talks with Francisco Munoz, the old pro among pilots and mechanics in Baja. This veteran airline pilot, a vital lifeline in Baja, gladly relates the latest airport information, where gasoline is available, and how the fish are biting. Border crossing paperwork isn't complicated. A passing inspection of aircraft registration, tourist cards are stamped, and you're on your way. Tijuana is the last paved runway that the Roberts will see for a week, except for the fine airport at La Paz, capital of the southern territory of Baja. All but 15% of the residents of Baja live in the border towns. North of the 28th parallel, Baja is a state of Mexico. South from there, it's a territory because of the sparse population. The highest point on the peninsula, Providencia Peak, reaches almost 11,000 feet. However, the Cherokee can climb as high as 17,500 feet. First stop for the Roberts is the sleepy little fishing village of Bahia de Los Angeles. By stateside standards, this airport isn't Dulles International, but it's a cinch for the new Cherokee, whose deep flaps make a steep approach routine. Short field landings are a must in Baja. Touchdown speed, a leisurely 55 miles per hour. The road here isn't the Hollywood freeway either. Hardy Mexican truck drivers can make the run from Bahia de Los Angeles to Tijuana in somewhat over 3 days, depending, of course, on the condition of the Baja Turnpike. For the unskilled tourist, this byway may take 10 to 12 days. Flight time for the Roberts, 2 hours, 25 minutes. First things first, and fuel is the #1 item in this land of contrast. Owner of this fishing camp, boats, and overnight accommodations is former hard rock miner Antero Diaz. Virtually all aviation fuel in Baja goes through a chamois skin. The economy of L.A. Bay centers around turtles first, airborne tourists second. Heavy trucks carry live turtles over the so-called highway to Ensenada, and return with 20 drums of aviation fuel and supplies. Baja is a year-round resort with the busy season in the winter when snows blanket sections of the north. Living is a little informal here, unless you plan a dip in the Gulf, originally called the Sea of Cortez. Don't be too surprised to find only one water tap in the shower stalls. If it's too cold, just wait till later in the day and it'll warm up. Any society needs bookkeeping, so they say. Senor Diaz has simplified this procedure to a minimum. Just take what you want, mark it on the slip yourself, and that's all. Question: would this system work in modern civilization? These youngsters have seen no TV, no railroad train, no automat, no Disneyland. Yet, modern airplanes and the radio telephone are a vital part of their daily life. There is new construction at virtually every village in Baja. It will not long remain a forgotten peninsula, thanks in part to modern personal aircraft. It's south along the fog-free coast of Baja. Navigation here is the lazy way. No omni-range station, no radio homer, no flight-following service. The pilot merely follows the beautiful coastline and enjoys the scenery. At San Lucas, just south of Santa Rosalia, there's little except tropical palm trees and a cloudless sky, turtle harpoons, and fish nets. It's time to reset watches, since you're now south of the 28th parallel. First of the luxury resorts on the east coast of the peninsula is just 15 minutes farther south, the tropical oasis of Moulihake. The modern Aero Club of Moulihake has its own flight strips and accommodates an increasing number of fly-in visitors. The Cherokee will touch down and come to a stop in only 550 feet. The Roberts take an outboard to explore the freshwater river that tumbles out of the mountains to make possible the dense groves of commercial date palms. And that unpaved trail by the riverbank is a portion of the Baja Turnpike. Just about every resort in Baja states bashfully that it has the best fishing in the world, and chances are they're all correct. Some 387 different species of fish have been caught in the waters near Moulihake. If it happens to be Sunday morning, visitors may join the townspeople and visit the mission of Santa Rosalia de Moulihake. This church was begun in 1766, 10 years before the American Revolution, and was built originally of stones fitted together without mortar. The first church here, a Spanish mission, was established another 60 years earlier. There's a territorial prison, a rather unique penal institution where prisoners work in town, their families nearby, and merely check in each night. But there's much more of Baja to see. So, with a final goodbye, the Roberts head on southward toward the original capital of all of California, Loreto. It's only 135 miles, just 1 hour by air, but 225 miles by that travesty of a road, the Baja Turnpike. The airport at Loreto has been in the process of extension for several years, but it's 3,000 feet long and larger than many stateside air parks. Loreto became the first permanent settlement in California, established late in the 15th century after several previous attempts at colonization. Here is one visitor's catch at Ed Tabor's Flying Sportsman's Lodge. Really makes a person want to try fishing, doesn't it? The Roberts are no exception. A pet deer is named Bambi. And tropical flowers, bougainvillea. Family-style meals are frequently served on the veranda. The Latin prefers to see women wear skirts, especially for dinner. It seems that pilots and fishermen are addicted to ridiculously early morning hours. Jack and Bob run true to form and just can't stay away from those fish. So here we go. There's the first strike just after dawn, and the fin of a shark who's looking for breakfast. Looks like he's reeling in a big one. He's playing second fiddle to the hungry shark. This one really got away. Soon there's a multicolored dolphin fish on the line. Many anglers say that they have more fight per pound than anything else in the water. And this one's over 30 pounds, a good-sized fish in anybody's country. After a brief spirited fight, this beauty is aboard. Perhaps he'll be on the menu tonight, labeled Dorado or Mahi-Mahi. No matter the name, it's a dolphin, and one of the best food fish in the world. Bob tries his luck, and it's good too. Another dolphin. Partially because of currents and temperatures, experts call the Gulf a giant fish trap. No matter where or when, the visitor, either a novice or skilled angler, will catch his share of fish. Not bad for a short half day on the water. Then, for a tall, cool one to relax and enjoy the ever-changing grandeur of the multicolored sunset and the silent encroachment of a starlit night. The town of Loreto was established in 1697, a year when judges in Boston were still asking repentance for their verdicts in witchcraft trials. Remodeled extensively following earthquakes, this cathedral served as mother mission for Jesuits who explored the peninsula in the following 70 years. Later, Franciscan Padre Junipero Serra departed from here to establish a chain of missions stretching to Sonoma, north of San Francisco in Alta, California. Distances are really short in Baja. It's only another 115 miles down the coastline to La Paz, a mere 50 minutes by Cherokee. Most of this area has broad beaches and an occasional ranch, but there are mountains, plateaus, and dry lakes. La Paz, with its 25,000 people, looks mighty big after the sparse populations up the coast. It's a modern capital with good hotels along its waterfront, up-to-date hospital, gift shops and nightclubs, airline service, and radio telephone. There's even a chance to use the Cherokee's radio for more than a mere monitor of the Unicom party line down the peninsula. So it's time for the Roberts to see the one spot of big city life in Baja. In this, an area once frequented by pearl hunters and pirates. You don't have to know the language, but Carlos Palacios, manager of Hotel Los Cocos, tries to teach Lee a little Spanish. There's only a single lighted stop sign in all of southern Baja, and you guessed it. La Paz is an old town with a peaceful cathedral facing the square. La Paz is also modern and proud of it. Bright new buildings house the territorial offices. The youth center nears completion with its swimming pool and Latin American mural telling the history of the territory. Modern architecture is also evident in the new Social Security building and many others. Then there's nightfall and the leisurely pace of the tropics. A trio serenades. And there's a fine sunset with dinner on the patio. But you can't stay in La Paz forever, and the Roberts head further south to the resorts of Rancho Buena Vista and Bahia de Palmas, less than a mile apart. The airport at Buena Vista has the Baja Turnpike crossing near the touchdown end. Typical of many a flight strip on the peninsula, you land uphill, away from the water, regardless of the wind. But that's no problem for the Cherokee. Then comes perhaps the favorite recreation in all of Baja, the fine art of people watching. For the moment, Lee succumbs to the spectator sport. However, she is a curious young lady and, with a bit of persuasion from the resort owner, gets up to view a family exploring the crystal clear sandy bottom with snorkel masks. It's a shame to hurry in this land of leisure, but time won't stand still for the Roberts, and they head for the airport. There's a stop sign on the Baja Turnpike, cautioning the occasional truck or bus to wait while aircraft land or take off, and takeoff's downhill. Clean white beaches outline the coast near the tip of Baja. Clear water shows a variety of patterns as the Cherokee turns in for a landing, right at the front door of Bahia de Palmas. Palm-thatched roofs add to that tropical feeling. Limited to a comfortable 14 rooms, this resort is a fine example of what the flying visitor may find in this area. Good food, good boats, cool refreshment, and relaxing accommodation. Want to go shooting? There are dove and quail right next to the airport. Just make sure that the wings flap before squeezing the trigger. Others may hunt mountain lion, javelina, or deer. So when it's finally time to depart, you're escorted to the flight line by your hosts, a charming part of old country courtesy that prevails in the whole area. But there's a minor formality, one that each pilot should observe. Kindly make sure that all the burros are off the runway. After all, they could be part of the family. Now the Roberts fly south, past the Tropic of Cancer, and around the very southern tip of the peninsula. This, the fabulous area where the pilot of Cortez became the first white man to set foot in California in 1533, nearly a century before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. For 250 years, a Manila-bound galleon annually touched these shores. And this was a hunting ground for pirates. A rusting hulk is an unromantic fishing trawler, driven ashore by a Chubasco, a late summer hurricane. An English privateer captured the galleon near here in 1587. Loot, including over 100,000 gold pieces, was divided between two ships. One crossed the Pacific safely, and the other still lies on the bottom somewhere near the tip of Baja, with a fortune in its time-washed hull. A base of operations in the era of the galleon was this town of San Jose del Cabo. Less than 15 miles eastward can be found two of the most imposing tourist resorts in the tropics. Larger of the two is Hotel Cabo San Lucas, with 36 suites and 30 more nearing completion. There's a fine airport suitable for large twin-engine transports. Here is Baja for the visitor who really doesn't want to rough it. Statuary is carved locally. Stained glass was imported from Belgium and assembled by skilled artisans of the area. Drinking water served in Baja is pure, usually from nearby springs, and spotless kitchens prepare excellent food. Many vegetables grown in Baja are exported to the United States. The Roberts ate and drank what they wished with no ill effects. And if it's time for a swim, there's a king-size pool complete with a rocky waterfall. Here is a resort where the suites have shower stalls of imported onyx walls. With a touch of modesty, the hotel brochure says, quote, "It's another world on the southernmost tip of Baja, where the Pacific Ocean meets the Gulf of California. Whenever you arrive, you will find our climate perfect and the fish biting," unquote. Faith in the future of Baja can have no more concrete proof than the active construction of a wing of new suites. Bar stools and statuary are carved locally. When the hotel is completed, these craftsmen will produce items for the tourist. All the furniture in the hotel is made right on the spot. And the man who fabricated the stained glass windows now assembling a lamp fixture. All potential export items. Even the fishing boats are made here. Dale Jeffries, famed marine designer, builds deep-sea boats for this and other resorts. Jeffries has a hobby ideally suited for the beaches of the Tip. His hot rod sand buggy furnishes both transportation and a thrill for all who care to climb aboard and fasten their safety belt. The statue, a Mayan warrior at rest, and the Roberts depart with their ever-ready modern wings. Palmilla is the other imposing resort on the Tip. Here, too, the airport is spacious and even includes a flagstone tie-down area. Accommodations are beautiful and completely luxurious. It's time for a dip in the freshwater pool. Or if you're the relaxing type, you might just want to lie back and admire the scenery, waving palm trees, and all of that. Palmilla's pool is in the shadow of the White Bell Tower, perhaps the most prominent landmark on the Tip. Its spiral staircase displays the magnificence of ornate craftsmanship. And there's always that wonderful, ever-changing ocean. Lee and Bob find this an ideal location for a bit of salty within-the-family frolic in the balmy breezes of the tropics. Stark rocks, perhaps contoured after a diagram of the face of the moon, wage an endless, losing battle with the relentless surf as the currents of the Pacific and Gulf converge. No matter the other attractions, there's always the lure of fish in the offing. And here on the Tip of Baja, the fish are king-sized and even bigger. So Jack and Bob go out again. Target for today, marlin and sailfish. Bait for these fighting trophies is frozen flying fish. Veteran deep-sea guides show the visitor how everything works. These native boatmen speak little English, but there's a universal language among fishermen. Jack is the first to hook up with a marlin. He battled for nearly 30 minutes. It's a classic struggle, and in this conflict, there's a good chance that the fish will win his freedom. This time, Jack reels him alongside, and the Mexican boatmen earn their pay by bringing him aboard. Marlin, and well over 100 pounds. Now it's Bob's turn, and this time the battle is furious with rapid. Would anyone like to carry the disability insurance policy for this energetic native fisherman? The flags go up to tell of the catch, so that the non-fishermen lolling in the warm sunshine ashore know in advance whether to prepare for cheers or tears. But this time it's cheers, with the fish to be stuffed as a trophy for the den back home or distributed to families in the villages. Since when does fresh lipstick come with every sailfish? Even after a week of airport hopping and shopping, the big baggage compartment of the Cherokee gobbles it all up. And it's back into the air for the Roberts, up the colorful coastline of Baja with all its romantic history. Setting their own leisurely flight schedule, the Roberts will be home in the land of the freeway, TV, and the traffic ticket by sunset. Perhaps this is a rugged place for trucks, but it's mighty fine country for those with their own swift wings.